Hello. As you can tell, I am outside. I'm at the park. It's so nice, even though it's cloudy. It is really nice outside. It feels good. But I wanted to just chat a little bit about where I am in my faith journey, my walk with God, how my grieving has been going um, after the passing of my boyfriend. So I just wanted to talk about my experience. Now, I had seen this podcast video by Gia Peppers. This was when she was interviewing Priscilla Shirer. And Priscilla was talking about the grief of her family members, and especially her mom. She mentioned that her latest stage in her grief had been more like being less motivated, not as productive, just kind of blah. She was talking to God about this, and she said that he told her that his grace was sufficient in this season. I was like, oh my gosh, I really felt that. So what I did is I looked up 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. And just to give some context from the previous verses, Paul was talking about a thorn that he wanted removed, right? It's probably not a physical thorn, but either way, it was something that had been tormenting him and had been causing some pain in his life. So in verse 8, Paul begged God to remove this thorn about 3 times. But God responds in verse 9, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Whew. So Paul knew that it was probably to keep him humble and not to think too highly of himself. Now, moving on, Priscilla also said that God wanted her not to rush back to normal because there's something valuable in this season, and that he does not want her to stop coming to him. This really resonated with me because I thought that I did most of my grieving of my ex already, but these past few days have been tough and I have been really emotional. I'm also seeing a Christian counselor, and she told me that I'm going to continue to grieve this way for a little while because it's only been a couple of months since he committed suicide. So I'll have these sudden bouts of emotion and grief. And I was like, what is wrong with me? But I have been prepping for bodybuilding competition and keeping up with my karate classes and work. So I decided not to do the competition because I really couldn't give it all my attention. The grief had caused me to emotionally eat. I was not very motivated to practice posing or work out, and I was sleeping more. So I realized I was becoming depressed. So it was like I just didn't care. And so I knew something was wrong because I was all gung-ho before, and I knew I wasn't like this before. Prepping for competition to get on stage requires a lot mentally, and I just didn't have it in me. So I told my coach um, that what I decided, and he agreed that backing out of the show was a smart thing to do. So I decided this last weekend on a camping trip. This decision was actually a relief. So now I can focus more on healing and I can continue to work on my relationship with God. And I really feel so much better about that, not as much pressure anymore. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all soon.